Thanks to Faraz in our studio at the media warehouse, I would say G20, and some various ministers just passing us, the Minister of Finance, and everybody's rushing, as you said, behind the scenes is what is happening, and we're trying to catch various stakeholders. And talking about G20 and its legacy is a gentleman that I've also managed to grab as well, Mr. Kingsley, and he'll tell us more about that. Good day to you, Kingsley, and thank you so much for joining us here on Hilaal TV. Please tell us your designation and the organization you represent and a little bit more about that as well, what it means to our viewers.
Thank you. My name is Kingsley. I'm the Mission Director for Sustainabridge. Our project is G20 Legacy Knowledge Initiative. And what it means really is that there's been over 1,300 meetings that have taken place throughout the whole year, right? Apart from that is just the G20. We've had what we call engagement groups, B20, Y20, C20, Women 20, on many other 20s around. Those are called engagement groups. So what is happening is we're going to take all this information and put it in a system where people can get access to online, and that's our work, is to make sure we harvest this information, make it also palatable for people to be able to understand what does a policy around climate mean for us as South Africans. So what happens in the G20 is that it's government to government. So government officials have worked from different G20 countries, have worked together for the whole year to work on policies that affect everyone else, right? Could be on gender. One of the ones that they worked on was really on positive masculinity as a way of dealing with gender-based violence, right? So, and that was led by Department of Women. So other countries came on work and say, what is positive masculinity and how do we deal with it and how do we make sure is one of the things that we drive as government, right? So that information is important for people, for women who stood for a few days ago, marched across our country to say there needs to be an end to femicide and all that. So the government is doing something. What has been happening here in the last 2 days are the leaders who then come, the politicians who are political leaders who come together and sign on what the government officials have done. So there's a lot of work that has been worked on this year. What happens now is implementation, right? And with that implementation, the Knowledge Hub will be able to create information for people to come and say, these are the implementation that will need to take place. And it goes on to us as individuals to come and say, how do we implement some of these policies? Not just the government. Government's role is to write policies. Our work, NGOs, incubators, our work is to make sure we implement some of these things within our space. So in South Africa, we always talk of Gogo Dlamini, right? Gogo Dlamini belongs in a community, right? There's a church around here. There are different communities that support her. Our work is to make sure information is available for the NGOs that support here. Stephen, who runs his computer hub or a software business, right, wants to know what are the policies that come out of, especially for digital economy, what are those policies that have been agreed to that open South Africa to the global market or within the G20 countries and invited countries, so just within Africa, what are those policies, what are the new trade commitments that have existed, what are the finance or projects that have been that are out there. For instance, we've got the UAE that announced 1 billion worth of infrastructure, funding for infrastructure around AI. So people now need to know that there are countries that have come to South Africa that have made commitments to South Africa and Africa to come and say, because of this G20, we want to support you. It's not now the government who needs to now go and people come and say, the government must give me money. No, it's for us to come and say, oh, the UAE is doing this. How do I reach out to the embassy of the UAE to request for some of this, to submit an application for some of this? Yes, and how do I do that effectively?
So that actually answers a question that came from our viewers, which I posed to Minister Lamola yesterday, is that what happens after G20? What happens to South Africans after G20? And that's basically, he gave a very general answer, but this is basically the nitty-gritties of the answer to that. People are saying, stuck in the rural areas, what happens to jobs after that? Also, we attended as a mostly Muslim broadcaster, the H20, do people even know what the word halal means?
Yes. these people actually exist, and they've been working hard to sit together within their communities and say what are the policies that we want the G20 to adopt. And they would have taken some of those things and have taken to the government counterpart or the minister who looks after that specific area. And that minister will have looked at all the contributions from different engagement groups to come and say, okay, what out here can we actually implement and work with other countries? So it's not just South Africa. And when the president was speaking yesterday to say there's a declaration that has been that there's been a consensus on everybody that it must be adopted. It's that declaration comes out of a lot of work where people have brought a lot of ideas, right? And those ideas then agreed on by 20 countries. And it's not just 20 countries, it's 19 plus 2, which is the African Union and the European Union, right? So European Union represent about 30 countries. The African Union is about other 30 countries as well within Africa. So those people also are going to implement some of those policies. And what we need to do from our side, from the Knowledge Initiative, is we are working with universities after this to come and say, what are some of those commitments? How do we track? So we're going to create those trackers. When you log on our platform, when we launch it, you'll be able to see for infrastructure, what are the projects that are taking place in South Africa as for infrastructure based on the policies that come here. Sometimes we also have to give government an opportunity to be able to work. It's not just government, it's also business that also use some of these policies. So we need to understand that different parts of society are implementing the parts that deal with them. So as society, what parts that deals with us that we need to be able to engage on? Go to your nearest NGO and find out how are they dealing with the issues around women, because of that's the information that we're going to provide. It affects them to be able to come and say we are within a specific community and we can actually reach to our people and we make this information available.
Please, Kingsley, give us some more information when this does launch, where people can find you, or the website, social media, and those that don't have availability to maybe internet access, how can they get hold of you to be part of this?
Yes, for social media, please follow Sustainer Bridge Africa. So it's one word. It's Sustain a Bridge Africa. Africa is one word. And then for our website, it's sustainabridge.org. That's where you'll have information. We'll speak in terms of what the launch will be. We have a documentary that we're currently working on right now. Or that information will be there. It's really just to come and say, we have this high level information where people are talking about policy. What does it mean to me? So to the person who's in the communities, what does this speak to me? And the website that we're going to create where people are going to be able to access this
Great
information.
stuff. Thank you so much, Kingsley, for your time.
Thank you.
All the best. Please do keep us updated. We are a
do.
community broadcaster. We want to get that information out to our people as
Definitely,
well.
definitely.
All the best to you and your team.
Thank you so much. Thank
Goodbye.
you so much.